TI-85 or TI instructions. Again, for mine, I'm using the TI-84 plus CE, but most of these will be the same for any TI calculator. Let's look at doing computations with fractions. Now, most of the time, I'm just going to use the division key because division is technically the same thing as subtraction. So if I say I want to do a half plus a third, I usually just enter that as 1/2 plus 1/3 like that, where I am entering them as division. Now, my calculator definitely will do this, but you'll notice it gives me a decimal as an answer. Now, sometimes we want a decimal, but most of the time we want to have a fraction. My calculator, however, can switch that. I am going to go to my math menu, my good old math menu. We're going to use that a lot. So if I go to the math menu, that very first option has that little arrow frac. What that is going to do is it will turn a decimal into a fraction, assuming, of course, it's possible to do that. So I'm going to hit enter to select that, and enter a second time, and now my calculator not only is giving it to me as a fraction, but it will always be a fraction in lowest terms, which is what we want. Now, it doesn't bother me when I enter fractions like that, but a lot of students struggle with that. So my calculator does actually have a way where I can pull up a fraction menu. The way we're going to do it is I'm going to hit the alpha key, and then I'm going to hit the y equals key. Now, do note this is only the more modern calculators. If you have an older model, it might not do this, but I'm going to hit alpha and then y equals. And I'm going to get this little menu here, and I'm going to pick that first menu option that looks like that, and basically that's going to give me numerator over denominator. So I hit enter, and it's going to give it to me as a fraction. So let's hit 1/2, and let's hit that cursor to get out, and then plus. I am going to have to enter that menu a second time to get the second fraction. Again, I always double check, does what I put in the calculator look like what I have by hand? If it doesn't, I probably need to go back in and fix it. But then let's hit enter. The nice thing about this is my calculator is automatically going to give me an answer as a fraction. And this is especially nice if I'm doing a complex fraction. So let's say I've got something like this, where I've got fractions inside fractions. That is really hard to both do by hand and to enter in the calculator. So let's hit alpha y equals. Let's pick my fraction. I'm in the numerator, but I want another fraction. So I'm going to go to that menu a second time. And so let's type in 1/2. Let's get out of that. Plus, again, I'm going to have to go to this menu a couple of times. 1/5. So I've got my big numerator. Oops, I hit the wrong thing. Let's hit second mode to quit out of there. So let's hit my cursor here to get to the denominator. There we go. And then alpha y equals 1/3 minus, and I go to that menu one more time, 1/4. As you can see, it does take a little bit of effort to type it in. And again, I always recommend double check. Have I entered the problem I think I've entered? Because of course, if I mistype it, I'm going to get a different answer. But that looks correct, so let's hit enter. And again, my calculator gives me a fraction in lowest terms. You'll notice that is an improper fraction, but for the classes that I'm making these videos for, we generally do want improper fractions rather than mixed numbers.